squad, and between this one and night squad, that is $100 to get into. All right, bowlers. We will now turn you on for 10 minutes of practice, and then you will move directly into tournament play. Good luck and good bowling.
I was talking about you specifically. Where you were playing. Man, I was watching Jack today. I used to be able to do that.
I was getting to play the gutter that often.
Like,
Doesn't happen.
man,
I can do it. I can do it. I'm not bad at it, but I'm not good at it either.
and
A lot of the mental work is like, sometimes I'm so used to whenever I play the gutter, I'm doing like this. I'm trying to like, offset the friction. And it's really rarely where I play the gutter like this and it's like, oh, hey, you actually have to hit the ball. That's why you do normally.
keep your scorecard up here. You guys talking about that.
Just a reminder, bowlers, you guys do have until the end of practice to get in jackpots and brackets. You have until the end of practice for jackpots and brackets.
I remember his name, the entire block.
Ferris?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to Arizona again too. I'll be back out there. I'd be stupid not to bowl that. 10,000. I get free hotel and free. Yeah. I mean, my parents live out there. I spend a week. I'll spend a week out there visiting them. So it can't get any better than that.
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome back as our live coverage here on Bullstream TV continues of the Bradley Open. B Squad time, and should be very interesting, as B Squad always is, for a number of reasons. We talked about the field and some of the players who we might see, and maybe a few surprises in the B Squad. And having said all of that, well, there's a few players we saw or knew that were going to bowl. I think a few players did make their way, from Springfield at the last PBA stop. Now that the tournament is about 95% over, of course, that TV show will be tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, on FS1. My name is Emil Williams Jr. Shout out to all of the good people who have already joined us here on Bullstream TV. Want to welcome in one early guest. He bowled this morning, so we'll have will have two first-hand accounts on the lanes, how they played them respectively. One from Jack Sullivan. Jack, how you doing? Good to see you as always.
Good to be here.
I feel like I see you more.
Good to be here.
I see you more now bowling events, which is great.
Trying to.
which is great.
To.
And then we will also be joined by Daniel Farish, who, if I know Daniel, he's kind of gone making the walk to kind of see how people are starting and then kind of report back when he gets back into the booth. We saw Jack out there playing him kind of out on the fresh. This is not the fresh, too, by the way, folks. So, and let me make sure I didn't see a lane machine go down the lane, but they generally don't re-oil for B Squad.
No, they don't.
And so, not bowling on the fresh, which means there's a lot of, I feel like what would be like craters in the front part of the lane, right, from all of the surface that was used this morning. And so you got to figure out where the craters are each pair that you go to, and figure out how your ball is either going to dodge that area and still find a way to perform the way you need it down lane, which is very difficult.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially when everyone's using 180 and 360 grit or even more. I had a ball I was prepared for even today. I had a ball that I used a drywall block on to sand drywall with, and I actually hit it with it. I didn't throw it, but I was ready for it in case I went to a pair where no one was playing the gutter and the ball that I started with would start to shine up. I needed something to go to that would still hook. And I actually, just from sitting back here even a little bit, it's a little hard to see it when you're up there bowling. You can get an idea of it, but you can see your ball hooking pretty early. And even right now, I see it hooking even sooner in some cases because so many guys were, I want to say so many, but there were quite a few guys that were playing right of 6, at least in the laydown, just to get their ball to hook, and it worked as long as you didn't get it going left. You kind of had to get it going pretty straight up the lane. And if you got it right even, it would hook because there is nothing on the one board, but the key was just to get your ball to not burn up. At least burn up too much.
Did you intentionally, you were trying to control your ball speed, I imagine, right?
I was a little bit. I don't throw it, 18.5 miles an hour. I'm like low 17s, mid 17s off my hand normally, unless I'm, really hooking a whole lane. But I didn't try and change that too much today, only because I was going to try and let the surface of the ball do a lot of the work for me.
We start on 35 through 38. We've got Benji Martinez, Cody Lumpkins, Silas Moats. There is Benji. During practice, Benji was throwing a ball. Oof. I don't know what the grit was. That's a terrible break, especially on this.
Mm-hmm.
He took the 7-pin off twice.
At least twice.
In practice. Twice.
At least.
Which lets you know it's legit to Bradley.
And I think we were even talking about that too, and I had said to you, I'm like, during their practice shots, I'm like, that's too much surface.
Right.
And and it was all in the front part of the lane. I mean, he got a couple balls, I should say more. He had more than a couple balls that hooked before the dots. And it looks like he went to something that's still got some teeth on it, but it's definitely not as rough as the one he'd started with.
All right, we welcome in Daniel Farish into the broadcast. And Daniel, if I know you, you were down taking a walk, looking at players and where they were starting, what they were using, and what did you find out?
Well, this block is got a lot more talent in it than the morning block had, a lot more rev rate. So I'm going to predict that the top 50 cut for this block is going to be about plus 20. Their guys are I'm kidding.
Wow.
Whoa.
No, we're seeing a lot of what we saw this morning. Most of the righties who are hitting the 1-3 are in that 6 to 10 zone. And then a couple of lefties. Now you're talking the cream of the crop here, guys like Brandon Bone, Jacob Buttroff. They are on top of 1-2, dead on top of it. And they're getting the ball to kind of bank off that spot. Now, as I say that, Brandon Bone is shooting the 3-6-7, so that one didn't hook. But Cam Crow came down, and he said that he didn't even have to hit his ball with surface yet, and he's got peel off the gutter.
And he just misses that.
Perfect. That's
kiss of death.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Good. And I am seeing, and I'm seeing this from some of the talent in the field, some guys playing the fallback to start this block, which we didn't see hardly any of this morning.
Yeah, Jerry and I were talking about that, and it was almost we unanimously agreed that we would see more of that here in the on B squad for sure. I mean, there's already some places, you know, if you're from a out perspective on the lane, where it's just too much of a road map and not a good map. This map was not well drawn. It's not very clear, and so you might try to zig and your ball zagging like Benji's did in practice.
Yeah.
We were just telling a story. I don't know if you saw it, but he took the 7-pin off twice.
He must have had a ton of surface on that thing to start, and then he dumped it in the same spot that all the guys were playing this morning.
One on each lane.
Even better.
Yeah.
And then he just left a 4-9 on a really good shot.
I did that earlier. Kind of hurts your feelings when you 4-9 on this.
I stoned a 9 on a 3-bagger. That was pretty nice too.
Yeah, I left back-to-back 9s on the high end on the left lane.
Pass me those that stack of paper, that standings right there. Appreciate you. All right, so for those of you who have not seen standings or haven't heard them, I know that they will be posted. I'm going to check one more place regarding the on the Bradley Open official pages, but I did post them on the Bullstream TV Facebook page. So if you do have Facebook, you can head over to the Bullstream TV Facebook page and click on scores. There's a post that says scores after 5 for A squad. The cut number was 186, I believe. Yes, minus 186 to get into the top 50. Anthony Nyer led the squad at plus 77.
That's a ton.
Big 244 in game 4. He had no games under 200. Rick McCormick was second on the squad at plus 49. Tyler Slawball was third at plus 35. Daniel Farish, 256 on the end to get to plus 26. That's fourth. Kevin McCune was fifth at plus 11.
And that 256 was throwing a different ball every 2 frames. I threw 5 different balls the last game, all between 6 and 10. And, well, I guess more like 7 and 10 for me, and struck 10 out of 12. So that spot was very well burned up by the field this morning. I actually saw the ball slow down in the middle part of the lane. Not hook, but slow down. Which, knowing the way the bowling goes, probably means it won't be anywhere near in play tonight.
That's a great point. Yeah. One player to watch here is Eric Jones, and he's up on the right of your screen. At the bottom of your screen picture there is 31 through 34, and we'll kind of go full screen a little bit there in a moment. I think, who's that? Is that Nathan? I always forget how to pronounce his last name properly. I remember him telling me once.
He told us at one of the U.S. Opens you and I worked because it was nowhere near what I thought it was. We may have to get an update. I think the ST is silent.
That sounds about right. Maybe Zachary. We'll see.
Eric's struggling a little bit to get going here through the first 5 frames.
And he 6-8'd him for the 4th. So that doesn't help.
No, it doesn't.
We also got 39 through 42. And I would be remiss if we didn't have Mr. Mars on the stream after he sat and joined me for about 3 full games. I was just having a White Sox conversation, and here he is representing. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. Jeremy Thomas is commenting, which means he's in the top 10. Okay, he's 6. Tied for 6. -2. The guy said he was tired. He went -2. So he'll be bowling tonight. After the conclusion of this squad, there will be a 2-game desperado, the 2-game sprint to try to nail down some final spots into the advancers round tonight. 40 players would then advance from the advancers round. And they would go to the cashers round tomorrow morning.
And then tonight and tomorrow is 6 and 6, right?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
Jack, you see anything that's kind of standing out to you based on obviously how you tried to play them this morning?
One thing that I see is even on the left, I think on the right mostly too, I think a lot of guys were using probably too much surface because it doesn't matter what hand you throw. If someone's throwing 360 and right now, it's hooking the moment it hits the lane, or even 500, I'd say. I don't think you really need that much right now. I wouldn't say you could use lane shine, but I would certainly say you could probably use maybe even a light 1000 and on a ball that's not really high friction. I remember when my buddy finished second the one year when McClellan beat him, Austin Bolds. He threw shiny balls for most of the day.
Now, where was that? Was that in Lexington?
That was in Lexington.
Okay, and see, Lexington, the 2 top 10s that I have in this event came in Lexington, and I was throwing stuff that was at like that 800 to 1500 range.
Yeah.
Later in the day that Sunday, I was throwing a cyborg at like 2,000-3,000. Me, and with my rev rate, I could throw that little surface. Because on this, I'm not trying to get the ball to hook. I just need it to hit. I need it to store energy and hit.
Oh, yeah.
And
oh, absolutely.
To your point about what's out there right now, that 250 that I shot was throwing 4 balls that were all either 800 or 1,000. So
yeah.
I can throw 8 or 1,000 and carry. The higher rev guys can get away with something lane shines 1,500, 2,000, something like that.
I don't remember when it was, but I remember he threw a Reign Supreme that was a marble, and it worked. Worked really well for a while. You know, it's kind of like the same. Right now, it's kind of like the same thing when you go to a tournament. Like this happens a lot at some of the King of the Hills that Jerry runs, where at Poplar Creek, it's I don't want to say it's a beat up surface, but it's an older surface in HPL, and the gutter likes to play there if you can play there. But when he puts out something that's like Shark, guys are hitting balls with 500 grit. It's like, what are you doing?
Why are you doing that? Yeah.
Yeah, this place hooks. And everyone who bowls those has bowled there. So they know what they're getting into, and yet they still do it. And then the next thing you know, they're like, well, why is it hooking so much? It's like, well, you started with 500.
When we see the same thing, Steve Novak and myself go down to Nashville for the McCorvey's events every month, and there's a house down there, Hermitage Strike and Spare. Part of the Strike and Spare family as executive is, and it beat up surface, they'll put something long out, and the track develops in practice. So once the track develops, if you've got that shape in the middle, you've got a house shot. But guys hit it with 500, tear the fronts up. What are you doing?
Yeah, you're just making the day worse and worse.
Yes.
And I think this even happened when I saw you in Arizona at that Cactus Open. Was that pattern had kind of like a speed bump in the middle.
Yeah.
And you had to go really straight on it. But you could open it up just a fuzz. But there were guys, I thought, doing the opposite. They weren't using enough surface. And then when I went the next morning for match play, I watched the first match before, because I had the bye.
Right.
And Kyle King, I thought, he had the right idea. I just thought he used too much. And he even said it where he was throwing 180 grit to kind of like burn a hole. But the 180 was too much, and by the time he figured it out, the third game, even though he shot 230, he beat his opponent by like 40 or 50. He was so far down in series, it was too late.
Nice shot there by Benji. You can see what he's doing there. He's kind of hugging like 11, 12. He's just left to 10 at the arrows. Look at 39 through 42 here in a sec. Jack, I'm going to ask you one more favor.
Whatever you need.
There are 3 scorecards on right there. I just want to get the names. Yes. Well, everyone except Eric Jones.
Well, that one's Eric's. Billy Wright and Aaron Rose.
Thank you.
I think this is actually kind of smart. He wrote down what surfaces he put on the ball because they all look the same.
I like that.
That's a good idea.
What surfaces does he have?
He has, I can tell you.
So he made it public now. So
He's got a physics at 500, a raw hammer at 240. Green, I'm gonna assume that might be like a Motiv ball, 360. A Venom shock at 120. And then he did something that I actually did too. He actually hit his spare ball with 500.
see, I left Bessie in the bag, and I used a urethane ball as my spare ball today. So I did basically that. I took something weak.
Because I don't use I haven't used plastic since college, but I actually hit my blackout with a light 1000 to keep it from overskidding. If I'd used plastic, well, that would have skid even more. I do have a plastic ball, but it only comes out once a year, and it's for the Peterson.
Okay, I was going to say plastic ball tournament, or that's basically what that is, yeah.
All right, so speaking of that, actually, Todd McGill, appreciate you, Todd, as always. Oh, nice split conversion. How about that? I believe that was the 3-7 make off the curtain there in the back.
Wow, that's a good break.
Everyone doesn't have a name on the back today. I need to know who we're bowling with here. But so Todd asks, why not try to play the pattern, play this pattern like it was the Peters? Now, I've never bowled the Peters, but I've seen it. Seen it a ton.
Well, I would say is, at least on this, from comparing this to the Peterson, I don't care what you hit a ball with at the Peterson, it never hooks. And you don't get enough people playing actually the lanes that are slick to do that. Like for the longest time, when I would go over there, I would always take notes. And I don't know how it is. I haven't bowled it since they moved it, but the end pairs were always opposite. They were the same, but they were always opposite. So any lane that was up against the wall, so 16 and 1, was always the hooking lane. And then the one opposite that was a flood to the back. But guys, they don't want to hit you're only allowed 2 balls, and you don't want to hit one ball with 360 and try and make it work. And no one else is going to be doing it, too. So it doesn't really ever develop. You're kind of just firing it at the head pin at that point. Or if you can play the lane, if you want to just lay it down on 19 and just have it stay there, you can do that, too, if you want. I've had more years at the Peterson where I've spent half the time throwing reactive and the other time half throwing plastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've bowled the Peterson, I don't know, 4 times now. And the best year that I had my plastic ball and a black hammer, like the re-release from the mid-20 teens.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And when I stepped up it was the 8th frame of the last game, I could throw the back 5 to pass Andrew Anderson for the lead, which sounds simple, but 5 in a row at the Peterson is, it's
like
not going to happen.
18-bagger.
Yeah, I got the 8th one. I didn't get the 9th one, but I think I was top 10 that year. And I just pointed the urethane ball or the Bessie off the left corner. And if the urethane ball hooked, then I threw Bessie. If she didn't hook, then I threw the urethane ball.
Yeah.
And just pointed it at the 1, 2, 3.
I had the year I had my best where I finished 17th. I actually threw reactive half those games and plastic half the other games.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, the last game that I had, I was aiming at the gutter at like 20 feet because my notes were actually wrong, and I was crossing with Mike Dole, and Mike actually got one to the gutter and it came back, and I go, well, if he has that, I have that.
Right.
I'm like, there's no way that they're not the same, because I've noticed every lane on the left and the right that year was the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I went spare 8-bagger, and I had a chance. I think I had a chance to get into the top 10, and then I stoned a 7-pin my first shot.
Someone mentioned Eric Jones, and he looked like, from a practice perspective. And he was like money, and there were folks starting to kind of gather, watching him. Like, I was looking like, okay, he looks like his ball reaction could get him to some really good places here this weekend. And then, of course, he had a very tough start with 4 splits. Mm-hmm. But I think it's just about what ball he's going to throw at this point, specifically for Eric. He's going to save 140 here.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that it's because I was thinking he's going to throw a 3-bagger to save 140, and it sounds funny when you say that, but if he doesn't, throw that 3-bagger, maybe there's another split in there. He's shooting 1-0.
Oh, yeah.
So he did save this game.
Oh, absolutely. And he throws the ball extremely well, too. He's got a great game.
Yeah,
He
I mean,
does.
that 140 is not going to kill him.
No, but it certainly doesn't help.
Right.
Especially when it's only 5 games and not 7 or 8, where you can potentially try and make it up.
Nice finisher showing at the U.S. Open, won that PTQ.
Mm-hmm.
I think he made the top 24 that week as well.
Jerry's got a decent game going, too. He's only got 1 open.
Let's get back over there and see our guy. Benji, at the start for Benji, too. After having, like, no look for the longest of times in practice.
Yeah.
Speaking of Benji.
And now he's got 4 out of the last 5, at least for now. That's pretty good.
There's Jerry Mars and Benji at the left of your, bottom right of your screen. And that's the way Jerry said he was going to play him. And he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. That one he got going away slightly at the head pin.
Yeah, that's all it takes on this.
Yeah. Chris Hester asking for some help getting lined up.
Well, Chris, all the good lefties, not guys as good as yourself, but all the good lefties are just peeling it off 1, 2, 3, and I think a 3-time champion even told you to throw it at 2, Tony Lambert. So just do that.
Is Tony left-handed or right-handed?
Left-handed.
He's left-handed.
Jerry shoots 180 over there.
It's par.
Pretty solid start, all things considered.
I would say that's par.
Benji gets to 191. And hello, Matthew. Appreciate you tuning in. Let's go with 31 through 34 for a bit.
What's our thoughts on the
we're
cut
done. We're done.
for this block? It was 186 this morning. You know, this squad is bigger, but it's better, and they have friction out there where A squad did not.
Ooh. But that friction could be a bad thing, though, too.
It could trick you.
It could.
If it's in the wrong place.
Exactly.
And with as much surface as went down the lane this morning, there is
Yeah.
friction all over the lane.
And especially with a lot of people throwing it to start, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to make it even worse.
I'm going to go 120.
I might Price is Right you and go 121.
Plus? No, I'm just playing.
Yeah.
Minus 120?
I want to say 135.
I'm going to go 103.
E, did you notice that you nailed the doubles cut, by the way? You and I were talking about
1440?
it. You said 1440 and it was 38.
Oh, yeah.
You absolutely nailed it.
How about that?
I mean,
Almost. I mean,
Bob Barker would have said you
would
were
have lost
yeah,
the showcase.
You would have lost the show. Yeah, you wouldn't have made it to the pricing game.
So that's really an L.
You can still spin the wheel later tonight, though.
So we've got Cam Crow has moved into this vicinity. Brandon Bone is going to be, I think, on 37. Good
Looks
look
like-
at Brandon.
Looks like Cam finally went to something with a lot of teeth on it.
He was throwing that archetype early game 1.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, at least the 2 shots that I saw.
I only saw him when you gave him the kiss of death.
Yeah.
He actually threw something that didn't look that beat up.
Okay.
It looked like maybe it had a light 500 or 1,000 on it even.
Someone asked earlier about touring pros who are bowling, and I can wait to confirm that for you once I get a game 1 score sheet. But if we're just talking about this squad, Jacob Buttriff is bowling, right?
Mm-hmm. Jake's here.
I don't know how much Cody Shoemaker bowls on tour.
Like, are we talking guys that are national tour that bowl that? I mean, we talking,
Or guys who just bowl
You know, like
PTQs all the time,
you
too.
know, J.R. Raymond has multiple regional titles, doesn't bowl a lot of national stops I'm aware of, but he's here.
I
Like,
think he was referencing
Yeah.
current touring
Okay.
pros.
Jake?
He's the only one I see.
Jake who?
Buttriff.
Andrew
Buttriff.
Hall is bowling. I thought I saw Hunter Kimpton.
He is here.
Okay.
Hunter's here.
Yeah, I'm giving it the Michael Davidson's bowling this squad.
Oh, yeah, Michael.
Matt Kuba.
Matt Kuba's down there, yeah.
Our guy Arnar Johnson, who was fantastic last night. He's bowling.
I have seen him probably half a dozen times on the concourse, and I keep thinking he's Mikey Schlebach.
And I'll be able to confirm the rest once I get a game 1 score. I don't know how much. Chad's not bowling a ton from a national perspective, but he does compete from time to time, certainly regionally. Cody Shoemaker had himself a nice finish here last year.
I know, I've heard the name. I don't think I've ever seen him throw a ball.
I think he finished 3rd.
Did he really? Wow.
Pretty sure. 3rd or 4th, but it's a good match with Kyle Troop. And then Troop ended up losing to Graham Fa.
There's two names that we don't have
Correct.
this year.
Yep.
I was even telling a buddy of mine back home, I said there's not as many touring guys this year as there were last year. There were a lot last year, but I think a lot of that has to do with the national stop probably too, because some of them are probably spent if they were bowling good or bad, and they're like, I don't want to go bowl again right now.
Yeah, because I mean, if they made yesterday, Springfield's about 7.5 from here.
Oh,
Because
is it?
we drive it every year for Ozarks.
Okay.
Yeah, 7.5.
Yeah, some made the trip, and then I think those I'd have to look. Minus Jacob Buttroff, right? He might be one player who finished in the top 12 or 16 that made the trip, but yeah, he just missed the show.
Yeah.
Speaking of Buttroff, but Kim Bowlby, who has won the tournaments, and looks like he wouldn't be able to make it Grand Fa. So some good opportunities, some new opportunities for some other players. Good mix of amateurs, professionals. We've got some of the best collegiate players out and about.
There's definitely a lot of really good bowlers who
Brian
either
Bourget,
don't bowl on tour, who could bowl on tour.
Right. Eric Jones, Brian Bourget, they also are touring players.
And even some of the guys who bowl the PTQs a lot,
All of those players who I just named, except Buttroff.
like Matt this morning, he could probably bowl on tour. He's a really good player.
Sorry, which Matt?
Zwig.
Zweig. He's on
Zweig.
tour. He bowls on tour.
But he bowls a lot of the PTQs.
He does.
I think,
I mean,
doesn't
to me, I include them in that.
Yeah.
It's just that
Because they're out there.
they're
out there all
There's
the
an extra
time.
step that they have to go through if you're not in the top 50 in points. But they are chasing it.
Good for them.
Yeah, Zweig's out there. There were a few this morning too.
Zeke Bate is here.
Oh,
We
yeah,
might
Zeke
have
is
said
bowling.
his
Oh
name.
yeah.
I met Jason, who is giving the PTQ some runs as well. So I think a lot of players who did not advance in Springfield made their way here this weekend before they then move on to Anderson, Indiana. Look, a few more shots here at Cam. We see Cole Sparks. I mentioned Cody Shoemaker. Thank you, Scooby, by the way. Scooby has got me up to date on all of my PBA because I don't get a chance to watch it on a weekly basis. Appreciate you, Scooby. Did see Eric Jones, though, at the U.S. Open, watching that. And I'm like, man, he can get it done. Cam giving it a little loft. This kind of looks like already from the Cam perspective, a little bit like last year to me. Cam got into his loft game going left to right, and I felt like for a while he could not miss.
Well, and that was something he said that I was talking with Jason Hutchwell before, like at the end of practice, and Cam came down and he said, man, if I thought my look last year was fire, it's even better this year. I haven't even hit the ball on the surface yet. No wait for him to get done talking to Jack. I got a question for him. You know Cam's one flaw, don't you?
No.
Let's see if he'll admit it.
He's left-handed?
No.
That's a flawless man right there.
I bet I can prove you wrong. And you're not going to like me for it. You're not going to like me for it. Where are we on right now? 31 to 34. Hey, you're a Chicago guy, right, Cam? Who's the greatest of all time? Told you.
Wow.
Cam said LeBron, by the way.
Yeah, I should have known where you were going with that. Unbelievable.
Jason told me that they got him riled up last night about it, and I was like, oh, man, when Cam gets to the live stream pairs, I got to bring him in to air that. So I'll let you
That's great.
stew on that a little bit.
That's great. We'll discuss with Cam.
What are we on, 31 through 34 now? Okay. Oh, man.
We'll take a look at Brandon Bone here in a moment. He's on a pair with Cody Trice. No name, no gimmicks. Everybody get that?
Got it.
You got it, Jack?
I did.
Okay,
I
good,
did.
good. He's also on the pair with Chad Roberts, and got to get Nathan.
Well, that's as stacked a pair as it can get in this event.
It is a really good cross.
My goodness.
Which one was that? Sorry.
Right in front of us, Nathan.
Oh, yeah. With Brandon, too?
Yeah, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean,
Chad.
listen, Cam's look.
They must have asked to bowl together.
Cam's look. I'm gonna step away briefly. All right, but Cam might be in the. He might be pushing 270. There's Brian Bourget too, by the way, bowling with Cam.
Throwing the ball right now?
Yep.
Okay.
Brian Bourget went to Robert Morris, Illinois, where he bowled collegiately, and is also on tour. Out there every week, PTQing.
And what I saw from Brandon Bone in practice has not translated very well to the competition once the lights came on. Shot 150 the first game, had 3 or 4 splits. Split this game, missed a single 7 pins. So the motion I saw him have in practice has not translated well. And he's got a little bit of work to do to figure out what shape he needs, whether it's earlier or later down the lane, what he's looking for.
Good shot, Mr. Roberts. Hello, James. There is not. Cam struck again, by the way. There is not a graph. I think Jerry, when he was on earlier, mentioned, I think maybe last year or some years in the past, there has been a graph that circulated around maybe during match play. I personally have never seen it.
I never have.
But it's long. It's definitely 50 feet plus. It might even be close to 55.
There's enough oil out there where you can see it.
There's a ton of mills.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Jerry gave some small specifics on what he thought like last year based on that. And he says around 55, might have been 54-ish, 49, 50 mils, but that's what it's generally about every year.
I do know the last time I bowled this, which was 14 years ago, they did announce it, or they showed it during match play, because it was 43 feet, 45 mils.
Okay.
And that was back in 2010.
And the number that I heard a few years ago was the distance was 45 to 47 feet, and the volume was higher than that. It was because the volume number was higher than the distance number.
Wow. That's a lot. May as well just foil them by hand at that point.
Right. That's we dealt with that snowman doubles a couple years ago.
I was just going to say, because isn't that 50 feet hand oiled, or what do they do for that?
I'm not sure what the distance is, but I remember when Steve and I went out and bowled it for the 2 years, they've got the squirt bottle, and then they're dragging it. And he just drags it until he gets done walking and then goes to the next lane.
Cam is in the bottom right of your screen. He's got 4 in a row. He struck once since we've left him. And left a 3-pin. And you saw Brandon Bone go to the loft game as well. And he's trying to see some contrast, right? Chad Roberts so soft and laying it down at around the half board on the right side. Hashtag slick is right. Todd. Appreciate the viewership as we continue to watch B Squad here. If you don't mind, hit thumbs up on this event. If you have not subscribed, we'd love for you to do that as well. Turn on your notifications so you are alerted each time we go live here on Bullstream TV. My name is Emil Williams Jr. I'm pleased to be here with you. I got Daniel Farish, one of Louisville's finest, here in the building, and then Jack Sullivan. Appreciate him for joining us here for a couple games as well. Jack from suburban Chicago. He's back in the bowling game. He never really left it, but he's out here competing now on I feel like a semi-regular basis. So good to see you back. Jack having a Vince Inns reunion too, I saw earlier, which is good.
Yeah, we did a little bit. A few of us out here. There's not many of us left that still bowl.
Vincennes University, that is one of the finer bowling institutions.
Nice shot there on 36 from Jeremy King, one of the lifers of the Louisville bowling community. He's one of the guys that could say he watched me grow up.
Yeah, David, I mean, you know, I think,
Ooh,
well, how about that? How about it, Cody? Cody Trice, real name, no gimmicks. Well done, Cody. Avery Manuel, I see you, Avery. Appreciate you tuning in.
He bounced that 2-pin out,
I believe so.
Yeah, he did.
so it didn't go around the outside.
Well done. Well done. I was going to say that I think Scooby mentioned that the split we saw Jerry Marsh pick, or at least the back half of it, it was an 8-10.
Oh,
He said it was an 8-10, and the 8, I guess, bounced and
Oh.
hit something else. So, yeah.
I've noticed that pins, they come out of the back here a pretty good amount.
well, I'm glad you guys can do that because I sure as heck can't. I tried once, hurt my shoulder, had to ice it down for a week.
Well, I don't think you need to worry about that. You don't leave many splits like us.
I did ping an 8-10 earlier.
Oh, that happens to
It was a
everybody.
hard 8-10. I mean, the 6 wrapped around the 10.
Can you really leave a hard 8?
You know what? Yeah, I can, Jack.
Yeah, I think you can, too.
It's like I scouted a head pin, bird dog, the 5-pin earlier, across from Brett Shepard, and Brett goes, "You should count those Scout 5s in this tournament." I said, "Brett, I count Scout 5s everywhere.
I'd count that.
That's the only one I can scout."
Still a scout.
It is.
Again, the soft touch. Chad Roberts gets out of it so well, but he just came back mouthing, "Wow." Did Chad Roberts. Again, Cam. Bottom of your screen, Brandon Bone. Little loft.
Oh, my goodness.
And even that wants to hook, too.
I
But
think
from what I see, I think Cam's loft is actually a little bit better because Brandon's, it seems like, is crashing, and that's going to make the ball hook sooner. Whereas Cam's is further out, and it's like a plane coming into land. The more you can do that, the better the ball reaction is going to be, and that's what made Mika so great. Was he can loft it, but it was projected further out. It wasn't lofted.
Right.
And that's what Cam is doing, whereas I think Brandon he's just trying to heave it past it, which can actually be even worse.
And kind of going back here to a gentleman that all three of us know pretty well, when he wasn't lofting at 40 feet, one of the things Brian Valenta could do is he could get it out on the lane 10, 15 feet, but it wasn't getting above, like his waist. It was low.
Brian was really good at it. Yeah. And even when he could do it 40 feet in the air, it still wasn't.
Yeah, it still wasn't.
It still was
up
pretty
and
good.
over. But shout out to BV. Yeah, did you and I don't know if we talked about him last night or not. A little bit during the broadcast, but he's back to bowling.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting healthier. BV's lost a lot of weight. Yeah, he's sitting
Lost
dad.
a lot of weight.
He's sitting dad now some videos of him bowling. He's doing well for anyone that's wondering. BV's flourishing down in Florida.
we chat every now and then. Still my guy.
I think
Watch the loft here. There it is.
Emil and I were talking about this a little earlier, where there was a sport league that we bowled back when we were kids. And this is Emil, when he was probably the best bowler in the Midwest, even amongst adults. And
Well, that's high praise.
well, it was.
I didn't know that.
I think so.
Appreciate you, Jack.
But
My man, I'm good. I'm taking the rest of the night off.
and the sport pattern was, this is before the USBC had their legality for it, and outright of 8, you couldn't get a ball to hook. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody was practicing on the dead pair, which was 1 and 2. And Valenta finished the game, and he's like, can I throw a shot over here? And the guy said yes. And he threw one right up 5, and he blew a 7-pin. I remember watching that going, how does your ball hook from there?
Cam up again in the 11th. That's hard to beat right there.
He's going to be in the 240s. And I forgot what split he left, but he made it in the 8th. Again, just keep an eye on what Cam is doing, and we will see him. He'll be on 37 next. So we'll see if he can continue that as he gets to 37. Actually be interesting knowing that Brandon was going to come off this pair. Because I mean, I think it's hooking earlier on this pair specifically for Brandon. Because I think he's trying to do what he's doing from a loft perspective, obviously, is to kind of eliminate that. He laid it down a little earlier, and it still hooked her. So I don't. It just could be this pair. And then we also just watched Eric Jones again during practice. Also, he started on this pair
and struggled.
Eric was left-handed and struggled a little bit. Finally figured it out, got the right ball, and was able to save 148-ish. Yeah. So that could be this pair for lefties, particularly.
And the one thing I noticed to add to that, from both of them, from Brandon and for Eric, is they're both using, I think, too much surface for this lane. I think if they can stay where they're at and potentially go to something that doesn't have as much teeth on it, it'll definitely get their ball down the lane another like maybe 8-9 feet, which is a lot for what they need right now because they can't keep a ball on the right side of the head pin.
There are 75 bowlers.
Left side.
Oh, my bad, Jack.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, listen, there's 75 bowlers here on B Squad. I just was handed the first installment of standings. I will post those on the Bowlstream TV Facebook page, but give you a quick idea. Jason Miller shot 252 to open up things. Tim Cagle, 246. I think Tim bowls on tour, does he not? Or maybe it's just he bowls a lot of high-level.
He does.
Don't know.
A lot of high-level stuff.
Paul Eston, 224.
My man.
Pontus Anderson, 219. And Arnold Johnson, who we were talking about earlier, 214. 13 people were even or plus after one game. And the top 50 right now was minus 33 after one game. Minus 33 after one game here on B Squad.
And that number was 41 this morning.
I believe so.
Correct.
These are like boot hill scores almost.
That is one event I never got a chance to bowl.
Oh, great.
Get up there, man.
I love them.
The only issue is it's a Sunday event, isn't it? It's always Sunday only.
Yeah, the regular ones are.
Yeah.
He's kind of between a rock and a hard place with the time though, because for a long time he was at Fox, and he used to do it at noon on Sundays, and Fox now is so busy. They don't want to pass up the open play because they got so much open play. It's insane now.
Yeah, I can't blame them.
And then he went to Stardust. I don't know why he left Stardust, but he went to Arlington Lanes, and they have a football league Sunday morning that goes to like 1:30 or something like that. I don't remember exactly. So that's why he has such a late start now. But those are great events if anyone's ever in the area. And it's all guaranteed money, 1,000 for first.
On something hard.
On something very, very hard. It doesn't have 50 mils, but it is, your ball will hook and it'll hook too much sometimes.
Taking a look at 39 through 42 at the moment. In the bottom right of your screen is 35 through 38. 35 and 36 are in the 10th frame. And 37, 38, which got to be one of the best crosses, I would think, in this building right now in the squad. Putting in a little work here. They've got a frame to go before they get into the 10th. Paul Eston. Paul, so far, so good. In good shape. In fact, very good shape. You know, I know Paul through you, Daniel. Obviously, I've seen him bowl a little bit at this tournament. But he just looks like someone who enjoys bowling on something like this, based on his game.
He loves bowling on tough stuff.
Right.
I think last year or a year before was the first time he had bowled this event because he was all, I don't want to use the word scared, but he didn't want to bowl it because he knew he didn't match up. It just absolutely his ball speed, and he plays them straight like I do. And I kept telling him, dude, you'll be fine. We'll get you lined up. We'll get surfaces. You know, we'll get you where you need to be. And he got a spot, win a spot through one of the qualifiers in the area, and you know, comes out, chooses B squad so he can see some motion. And he's going to go 222-0, so long as he fills 8 here in the field.
Brandon just to his left could not carry the blower 10 pin there on the Swisher 10. Nice finish there for Paul, 202.
What's his name from Louisville area? Is he still McCarthy?
John McCarthy?
Yeah, is he still bowling?
Actually, John just texted me.
Oh.
He manages Kingpin lanes here in the area. Bowls Monday nights at Ken Bowl.
Okay.
So he and his wife Kelsey are busy with their. I think JJ's 3.5, 4 years old now, but he stays busy coaching the Trinity High School bowling team, running Kingpin. He handles a lot of youth events in the area. The Kentucky Youth Scratch Bowling Tour, or what I forget exactly what it's called, but he's busy with a lot of stuff off the lanes.
Good.
But yeah,
great.
he laces up on Monday nights and bowls league.
Oh, good.
Nathan, all right. They're getting something out there, but you see where Nathan is. Let's go full screen there real quick. Hey, Bruce. As you see, we'll get Andrew in here in a moment. We saw young Silas a little bit earlier. There's Chad. Wow. That kind of doesn't make a lot of sense what just took place.
I think he missed. He's been kind of trying to not bank it, but peel it off 1-2. I think that might have hit 2.5 or 3. So it just completely missed where the friction is at. Same ball. Now that shot from Nathan right there, I would almost expect that spot to develop tonight. We see a lot of times on tour or high level amateur stuff that each block, when you're going fresh, will start, further left than the previous block did. So I would anticipate tonight the field might start a little further left than that 6 to 10. It might be more that 8 to 12 zone, and then just migrate in from there. There just weren't enough players in that area of the lane this morning for that mistake shot to roll.
Yeah, I felt like there was a big range of where people were playing this morning.
And Jacob Buttriff has joined 35 and 36. Andrew Hall's on 33 and 34. Dan Higgins is making a walk. See what Brandon Bowen can finish with here. It'll be 198 for Chad. Slight loft. That was much better.
A little bit left to right.
Mm-hmm. When you think about the amount of time he spent, right? And obviously, we've all been there before. If you've bowled at any point, especially some on some tough stuff. Even in my case, house shots now. You spend a whole game trying to get angle right, ball choice, the tinker, and mentally, it's so exhausting. And we've been watching, obviously, what B has put together here. But I think he's definitely seen some early hook, and he's had to maneuver and kind of tinker with it. But a good position to be able to get to 180.
That's a pretty good save the way he started, too.
Push a little.
Whoa. It's like that shot, I don't think he missed. It's like it didn't get to the spot.
It's just so weird. I think a lot of that, again, this is not fresh. So we have to keep that in mind.
And that's the hard thing too, is like, you know, when you're on something like this, when you can't move a whole lot, this is where a lot of that touch comes into play, and this is what Dan is so good at too, is he'll get on a pattern where the righties will just destroy it, and now he's got no choice but to sometimes grind it out where you're at and change your hand just to get the ball to react differently. And this is kind of one of those times too, is, you know, could you move in? Absolutely, you could. You just better hope that whoever played there before now and in the morning didn't play there either.
Yeah, it's like bowling these days. 90% of the stuff that we bowl on, the adjustments and the tweaks and the things that 15 years ago would have worked don't work these days. But 10% of the events I bowl, stuff like this that's on the either ends of the spectrum, like this super tough stuff, the tweaks work. The hand position changes work. League or you know, regional stuff like that, it's ball change, ball change, ball change, ball change. Stuff like this, I can actually use those tweaks and what I used to be able to do to an advantage.
All right, 37-38 now officially done with game 2. All things considered, not a bad game for Brandon Bone. I think you just hope as he continues, if I'm him, obviously, I'm hoping that the left is a bit more consistent than that pair. Actually, I thought Cam was going to get to this pair, but he's to the pair to the right.
Yeah, he went strike 3-pin and missed the 3-pin.
I mean, this is almost a mirror image from the Cam perspective of how he was able to play the lanes last year here. Take a look at a quick new group. On 31 and 34, game 3.
A couple guys here that I see out on the Central Regional Tour a lot. Sam DeWitt just threw a shot on 34. Michael Davidson over on 32.
You know this young man?
I do not.
Okay. I've seen him.
Great shot, the picture-in-picture from Butters. Andrew Hall, haven't seen a lot of him.
Really good young man. His dad is watching, so be nice. No, but really good young man.
Yeah, I've seen his name on standing sheets. I've seen posts on Facebook. Never had a chance to watch him in person.
He's out there chasing it too, regarding the tour. There's a really solid young group of young people, young players, which, you know, is what you theoretically want to see as far as young players trying to obtain that goal of becoming a professional champion at that level. And it's so much so that I think you could have like a mini tour, if you will, of the players who bowl PTQs every week. They are that good. And obviously, based on where they finished in the previous year, you know, outside of the top 50 points, et cetera, that's the route that they have to take. But, I mean, there's some really good players that bowl PTQs each week.
And there's even some that don't bowl them either.
Correct.
There's plenty of those, even back home where I'm at. There's a lot of really good players, and a lot of good players in Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin as well, and even Iowa too.
And that's one of the things that somebody, I forget who I was talking to a couple of years ago, but they saw a post that said something that the PBA Tour was the best players in the world. And the guy that I was talking to, he said, I don't mean any disrespect, he said, but that's the best players that take the chance to go out there. He goes, there's a lot of guys, you know, at the amateur level that could be out there competing and, you know, give them a year or two. But that's the thing, is you got to have the guts to go out there.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got to get your teeth kicked in for a year or two to learn. Because bowling on tour with those guys, how they transition the lane, how the patterns play is so different than what you would see at an amateur tournament or even in a regional.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
It's a big difference.
It's a big, steep learning curve. And usually when people do it, they get discouraged because they'll finish in the bottom 10, and then they're going to go, well, I'm never bowling this again. It's like, well, maybe you should, because you'll learn something then. I mean, I'm all for people going out there and trying to bowl and better their game for it. But when you have that really, really bad block, you got to get back up and figure out why you had that bad block, so now you don't do it again.
Well, the first two names that come to mind, guys that I would say I'm friends with in the bowling community, friends on Facebook, crossed with one of a lot at Central Regionals has Ben Sobel and Michael Martell. They are out there grinding at PTQs, and whether the result is good or bad, they are nothing but positive. And those are two of the younger names, like Eve was saying. We all get old slowly. It doesn't happen in the blink of an eye, but I felt like I blinked my eyes, and all the guys we watched growing up, that PBA tour is gone. It's our generation's turn.
Yeah, they're all on the senior tour now.
Yeah.
It's insane.
There was a discussion on one of the past telecasts. Is they asked the question, is Packy Hanrahan the best lefty on tour? And I was like, man, yeah, because all the lefties that we watched are gone. It's his turn. It's those guys' turn.
Him and Graham and all of them.
Yeah. So.
And the lanes now compared to then, because I have a very boring life at times, and I'll go back and watch old videos.
Yep.
But you watch those patterns, and I'm not gonna say they're easy, because they're certainly not easy, but they don't play anything like they play now.
No.
And the way that we oil conditions. What was I saying? Oh,
talking about how patterns play these days, yeah.
Now there's a lot more trickery that goes into it, I'll say, where you'll have speed bump down lane. You'll reverse oil the pattern where instead of less oil down lane, now there's more oil down lane and there's less in the front. You'll have a 2-to-2 at 15, 20 feet instead of in the front part of the lane as well, to add that on to it. There's a whole different variety of lane conditioners out there, and there's so much more that people really don't get to experience because they mostly use that on the tour.
Because they're trying to challenge those guys to the best of their, to force them to be the best of their ability.
As they should.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be bowling on. We all know they can strike, and they don't need to prove that they can strike, but they should be able to prove that they can strike when nobody else can.
And that's what they do. And that's
what they do.
That's what's most impressive about the guys at the upper echelon.
Just an FYI, folks, I am going to post about to post the Game 1 scores on the Bowlstream TV Facebook page. You can visit that if you got the app on your mobile device or, of course, on your laptop, whatever. Just search Bowlstream TV, or you can go to facebook.com/BowlstreamTV/. Jacob Butcher was asking that one in a hurry. He does create the take care of that 39 at the bottom right of your screen. Other players too. We see Williams Vincent on tour. Forgot about Trevor Roberts. He's bowling right now. He also bowls on tour. I mean, this squad is filled, and we were talking about players who may have missed it or depending on. And we were talking about the weather last night. The weather definitely prevented some teams who were going to bowl doubles last night from bowling doubles, for sure, after talking with Jason, our tournament director, last night. So
it took me 8 hours to get here yesterday.
Yeah, I'm seeing more players in front of us play left of 20 just in front of us now than did at all this morning. So Jerry was right. Butters the bottom of your screen, gets that one to leak out the 710.
Let me ask you, I'll get both of your opinions on it. Daniel, you bowled the event the most, so you may have seen some different things. But would it be kind of off the or against the green, if you will, to try to play the middle of the lane or the fade or fall back on the fresh? Or would you want to, or should you be, and that's a subjective should,
Right.
in the group where, you know, like in a normal quote unquote situation, you'd want to be playing where the rest of the field is playing to a degree, and then maybe you make jumps in, etc. But this is completely different, obviously. But I'm curious your thoughts on
Like me personally, or just the field, a bowler, Joe Bowler in general?
in general.
I mean, on something like this, with the distance and the volume that we suspect is out there, I don't think you want to be on an island. The only way you can be on an island out there is, it looks like, on top of 1-2, where there is some friction, whether it's the machine's inability to run out there, or it's the panels, or the pattern itself. You know, there appears to be a spot on 1-2 where the ball can face up. Outside of that, I don't think you want to be a one-man band. I think you want the Borg mentality of get where everyone else is to try and collectively break this down. You know, on like a 40-foot pattern, you can play wherever you want. You're not worried about the field breaking them down to make it easier for everybody, because everybody has hook on something like that. On this, man, it's in our best interests to get on top of one another and break it down. Otherwise, it's going to be nasty, and it never happens, and that's why this is always nasty.
Your thoughts on that, Jack?
I agree. I would add, though, I would say if you're good enough to play the gutter, or I shouldn't say good enough, but if you know how to play the gutter, and you can play the gutter, and then you see everybody else doing it, but your mind says, well, and a lot of bowlers go through this, well, I kind of want to play third or fourth arrow and just lay it down there, I think you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I think it goes back to people who they'll bowl on a pattern where they don't want to play that part of the lane, and then they end up making it worse for them, not only for themselves, but for as the day goes on. And kind of referencing back to our earlier conversation with the guys on tour, the reason why the scores get so high is not only are they the best in the world, but they also know how to play a lane.
Yep.
And that's gonna, if you know how to play a lane, if you even got a pretty good physical game, but you know how to really play a lane, you'll make it look even easier. So I think when the whole field has that consensus of, well, we know we can play the gutter on this. It's been established in years past that we can play the gutter on this. Why else would we try anything else? We know if we try and lay it down on 20 on the fresh, our ball isn't going to do anything. But I do know that if I lay it down at 4 or 3, I got a much better chance of my ball hooking than not hooking.
Big shout out to Donovan Kelly.
Back up. Nah, I didn't back up.
I will say I did throw a couple shots laying it down in like 19, and they both struck. And I said, okay, I'm going to try that. And then it lasted 3 frames.
A shot from Butters. Want to give a shout out to Jayceon Anderson, who was on the left of your screen there. Talking about tour players. Jayceon, like a 36-year-old rookie, we were talking earlier, and I've seen him at other events, not on tour, but other 5-figure payday-like events. And he's out there, you know, wanting to experience it for himself. So he's been out there bowling PTQs each and every week, trying to figure some things out. A lot of it on its own as he kind of goes through the process and the understandings of the game, et cetera, and so forth. So that's very difficult to do to begin with, period, to go out on tour. And from the spot he's trying to do it to, I commend him, and want to make sure I can figure out a way to help him if I can. But shout out to Jayceon. The group that players who consistently bowl PTQs too, I can tell, and I've noticed they are like forming a bond and a relationship to a degree, and many of them already had that, but it's just a little different because they're out here doing this week to week. They're doing together.
Yeah, they're banging their heads in.
They're grinding together.
Side by side.
Oof.
You know, when you throw it that good
tough.
and hit the pocket that hard, you don't want to not strike.
That was tough.
Yeah, when they're tough enough as it is, and you hit the pocket and you leave that, and you want to pull your hair out.
Andrew Hall full screen. Oh.
There you go, another one of those.
Or that I just kissed the death them too. Nope.
But he had a chance to get to 203 max. Now it's 183 max. Michael Davidson will close it out. Just like that, we're about to be done with game 3.
Ooh, Cam just making. He shot at that spare. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he left a 3-pin and he hooked at it with a urethane ball where it had some shine on it, and it actually hooked. He almost missed it to the right.
Oh. Well,
I'm sure he wasn't expecting that.
He missed one in the second frame. I don't know which way, though.
The 3-pin?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
He had a very tough start, too. Shot 141, game 1.
Cam did?
Yeah.
So he century awarded himself, goes 140-240, and this game he can punch the 10th for 2-0 on the nose. So he hit a really good pair, but pair 1 and pair 3 have not been as kind.
Ethan Fiore, 146. I didn't see game 2. Someone was asked about Ethan's scores. Of course, he gets to 201 here.
That looked really good.
Williams Vincent and Butcher, bottom of your screen. Final shot from one Andrew Hall.
Interesting to see what Sam does here in the fill. He's been throwing, it looks like a new blue, which was a curious decision. Switch to something else.
Felt like a widow.
Yeah. A lot of strong solids and aces being thrown out here. And going back to the comment about not being on an island, watching Sam throw the new blue, I kind of thought he was putting himself on an island. I also watched him strike in a way in Coldwater, Ohio last year that not many could. He was very impressive.
Sometimes when you have that island and you can make it work, though, you'll have the world. Doesn't happen often.
It doesn't.
But the odds aren't in your favor when you're on the island.
Well, gents, it's been a good 3 games, but I got to get home, let the dogs out, and do a wardrobe change, because you can never wear the same thing for the second block that you wore for the first block. If you live in that city, at least in my opinion, I got to change. Plus, my cow jersey's all dirty from all the oil.
Indeed. I appreciate you for joining us, sir.
You got it. Always a pleasure to be asked in the booth. And I will see you guys tonight.
Indeed.
All right.
That is Daniel Farish. Scores. Well, I was about to post, but let's just post after game 2. So let me do that real quick. There were some, we were talking about Roto Ryan. I'm sorry, Aiden. Roto Ryan began on the high end, and so he made the flip about 2 games ago. I'm not sure he's going to make his way back down here during this block, at least. could see some solid finishes here. Buttriff, by the way, got to 219. Leo Svensson, Frank Testa, Eric Howard. Some players making the walk. Someone asked about J.R. Raymond. J.R. Raymond is here. He is bowling. And I think he's on 29 and 30, which means we should see him for game number 5 in our general area of viewing.
Best water you'll ever have. It's water. It is, I swear to I got the same thing.
So this whole time,
Huh?
every time I see this in the store,
This is water.
so why? This is some extreme marketing.
That's the point. You can't have low quality H2O going in your water.
Wow,
Try it, it's good.
glad you educated me.
Plus I read somewhere that you have to try to avoid one of the books I'm reading, like health and wellness. He said that avoid drinking bottled water as much as you can. It's like it's not the worst thing, but it's not the best thing for you.
So where do you drink water?
Or
A can?
well, this is actually
This specifically.
better, but like higher filtered water or like Fiji or that stuff. Even though it costs more, it is actually better. It's pretty good. I told you.
You know how many times I've passed this up?
It looks like alcohol.
Why would I?
I know.
Why would I want to drink this?
This looks like it looks like alcohol. It's not alcohol. It's water.
You learn something new every day. It's like my guy Frank here putting in the work. Finish up strong. New group of players have made their way to 35 and 36 also. Steve Barron is down here. We're going to see Brandon Wooten. I think Tim Cagle is going to be on 37 and 38.
Where is DP Peterson? I didn't see him. I know he's bowling.
He bowled this morning. He
Oh,
was
he
on your
did?
squad.
Oh,
He bowled this morning. But you'll see him tonight because,
he made it.
yes.
Another Vincennes alum representing.
Keith, how you doing? It's never fun, Keith. But no, this is the Bradley is. It's become, or it has been. It's not even a become. It has been one of those events. For a lot of people, it's been on their calendars. But you know what you get when you go to the Bradley. It's going to be high volume, very lengthy, and it's going to play very difficult. So it's a very interesting challenge to try to decipher and figure out. And the winner ultimately will get $12,500 worth of reasons to come back.
So
Even if you don't win, you get $600 cash tomorrow.
I had 12,000 reasons to drive down. Just like when we were in Arizona, I had 10,000 reasons to fly out there.
Yeah, man, there are a lot of 5-figure events these days. And a shout out to all the tournament directors and those who've been doing it for a while, those who have been or just really creating. There's some new events out there. One last year, the Agent Open was new, for example. Not too long ago, actually, the event that you did bowl, Cactus Classic, Theo just put that together, I think, 2 years ago. So this will be year 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I heard he does a really good job out there with a lot of those.
I tell you what,
events.
so what you should do, you should spend more time with your parents and bowl some complete bowling events, which is what Theo runs in Phoenix, CBE. He's created a very nice tournament club, and he doesn't have the only one. Phil Hanna's done some great things, or is doing great stuff there. But Phoenix has always turned out excellent players and bowlers, and now they've increased their tournament competition locally as well. So every time you're in Phoenix, you should just look on the CBE calendar, because I bet you there's something to bowl.
I'm out there at least twice a year, so, and I think my parents would love that if I flew out there more.
Keith, what are you watching? College? That must be like an autocorrect. But I do see golf. And this, as we see Trevor Roberts.
He's got a nice game.
Yeah, he does. And he's been putting in that work to someone who just, you see the improvement year to year.
He bowls on tour, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
Made the cut at the U.S. Open this
Oh,
year.
good.
Made the top 24. But you can see his progress. Like from a tour perspective, just look at the stats, but look at his physical game. He's someone who's active on social media with content, especially on YouTube.
That's where it's nice to be young. I'm pretty bad with that.
Well, I mean, we're in that new age. It's funny. So Jerry and I were watching Squad 1, or A Squad, excuse me. And Jerry noticed a young man named Charles Wilkin from TikTok. And Charles, who we did learn that he bowls at the University of the Cumberlands. He's either a bowler or a coach, one or the other. But he often creates content from, I think they've got a lane or two on campus. So he does a lot of his video work there.
You know,
You may have seen him.
I have. Now that you mention that, it's like in a basement or something.
It looks like that, yes.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yep.
Yeah. Well, he bowled this morning. He was on your squad.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, you recognize more people from the internet than you really do in person now. It's funny because when I was at team trials, not last year, but the year before, I got done the whole event and I was just walking around the Rio, just trying to move around. I didn't want to be bowled in the morning. I had all this time to myself. And I'm walking around and I come across a mom and a dad, or a mom and a son who I'd seen on YouTube and TikTok that I recognized immediately. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And they were really nice. I got a picture with them too. And I wasn't the only person too to recognize them. Somebody else came up after my picture and they're like, are you on TikTok?
Love the skeleton look here from my man Brandon.
That's one thing I gotta do is design some jerseys. I don't have any. No, that's not true. I have a couple, but I gotta make some custom ones. In fact, I think I still have a coupon for like half off, but I haven't even used yet.
Well, you better get going.
I know.
You probably know a few people.
Or it was like 50 bucks off or something like that. I gotta ask Jen because it was when we won the Anchor Girl Trio. You know, the jerseys, I don't think I know as many as you think.
What do you mean you probably know someone through, or I should say you probably know the company and maybe know or may not know the company, but know someone who represents that company.
Oh, yeah.
From a staff perspective.
Yeah, I do. I have somebody who can make them. Shout out to Natalie for when I call her up to bat to help her have her make them for me. Natalie Cortez.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
She
know
did all that graphic design. That's what she went to college for. And
Is she designing jerseys or is she making them too?
She did design them, actually. She was doing it as like a side job, I believe, for, I don't remember what company. But when they would get too much work, or if they needed something else done, I think it was that they got too busy, they would send them to her, and then she would put them together and then send them back to whoever the company was. I'd have to ask her again. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know that she was doing something like that.
Jeremy Bright taking care of that spare. We've got Cody Straley. Somebody's been waiting to watch Chris Hankins, and he has made his way over to 33 and 34. We'll take a look at that group in a moment. Tim Cagle, always known for his uniqueness, his unique delivery, but he can just bowl. No strikes yet here for Trevor Roberts. Again, the scores, I did post the scores after 2 games on the Bullstream TV Facebook page. I'll drop them in the chat here in a moment. But the game 2, or excuse me, the cut 50th spot after 2 games is minus 65.
And that's only 6 more than this morning.
Bucket here for Cagle. After 2, Zeke Bate plus 31. Jason Miller second, plus 27. Paul Eston third at plus 26. Matt Kuba fourth at plus 24. Trevor Roberts fifth at plus 23. And again, 50th right now is minus 65. That's Kyle Mikulowski. Some players here that this is that type of event where you don't expect some players to struggle, but this is one of those events. There's some really good players right now outside the number. We saw Ethan Fiore. I mean, Michael Davidson builds on tour. Talked about Jeremy King. Cody Shoemaker had a very nice showing last year, top 5 finish. Eric Jones, that we watched warm up. Dan Higgins.
He's out of it?
Below
right
the
now?
number after 2 games, which is just weird. Brandon Bone, we've been talking about. We watched him. The keys for these folks is that there was just some tough games in game 1. Now some have had back-to-back struggles in games 1 and 2, but I mean,
What did Eric have game 2?
Eric Jones shot 177.
Not awful.
So I mean, but he's a few pins back. You know, so there's time. Just trying to get to the 50. Top 50 gets you to tonight. And then things start anew. There's a 6-game block.
Here's Matt Kuba, originally from back home, further south of me.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
Now he lives in, I believe, Ohio.
Quick flip. Zaya asks about Braden Fowler. I don't know if Braden has passed us. There's a small portion of players who don't have names from a shirt perspective. But I can tell you that Braden right now is inside the cut after 2 games. He's at minus 40. Minus 40 after 2 for Braden Fowler. That's a good place to be. Minus 40 if you had a couple of games that were iffy. In the booth with Jack Sullivan. Suburban Chicagoland, known Jack for a pretty long time. He bowled this morning. Daniel Ferris joined us the first 3 games as well. And thank you for joining us here on this Saturday afternoon. I know you could be anywhere in the world. So I do hope your weekend, or your Saturday specifically, is off to a great start. It's going well. And if it's not, hopefully we can provide a small amount of cheer to your day. Happy birthday to the GOAT.
Michael?
That is correct. Michael
Yeah,
Jordan.
today is his birthday.
February 17th, 1963, born in Brooklyn, New York. Till I've did a few book reports on Michael Jordan in my day.
I remember, I think when I was in 4th grade, I did a state report. We all had to pick a state that we wanted, like groups of 2 or 3, of which state we wanted to do our report on, and I chose North Carolina because of Michael Jordan.
Well, there you go. See? There you go. He's influenced us in some way.
Yes, he has.
See what Matt Kuba has to offer here. Again, game 2 scores. I have been posting them just on the Bullstream TV Facebook page. All of the official numbers will ultimately be on the Bradley Open Facebook page. They'll have some numbers and results too to post from the singles and doubles shootouts yesterday, respectively.
Oh. Neil, I got a good question for you. But now that you're, well, not now, but since you've been doing these whole lot more, and I've been seeing you a whole lot more now, does this coming out to these events, does that make you want to start bowling more?
That's a great question, one I'm asked often. I used to say no. As of late, the answer has been yes. As of late. Early on, when I was kind of really going full force in this arena, it was a definite no because, you know, my schedule was much busier then. I'm still pretty busy, but it was busier then. And the last thing I kind of wanted to do was bowl, even though I think I was still kind of subbing here and there. And, yeah, I bowled the OC and didn't want to go out there and just be embarrassing, right? So you try to practice, and then that became a, yep, not doing that either. So I went 5 full years without bowling league.
Without bowling league?
Without bowling league.
Wow.
Yeah, there was like a 5-year gap. I had to go back and look at the seasons.
Jeez.
And, but recently, I'd say with the last few months, and I think it all stems actually, I bowled league a couple weeks ago. And I've now bowled league the last 3 seasons, intermittently, because I bowl on Sunday and I'm often on the road on the weekend. And the problem that I had right now is I haven't got a lot of games in, so it takes me a while to get a feel, typically when I go back to bowl. And there were 2 shots that stood out. And it was, you know, if you take a break from bowling or whatever it is, whatever sport, and you know you go back to it and you're able to do what you used to do and it felt the same. You couldn't repeat it, but it was like it'll pop in every now and then.
Right.
And I felt it twice, and I got really excited. I was like, okay, it's still there. So
it never goes away.
You just got to obviously put the work in to bring it back out on a regular basis. So as of late, the answer has actually been yes. Like, I'd like to bowl this tournament at some point in the future. watching you bowl actually earlier made me say that, like, man, I used to be able to do what Jack is doing right now.
But probably a lot better than what I can do right now. My good is okay at the moment. It was just good enough to make it to tonight. But it's still not good.
Thanks for the question, by the way, Eric. Really good question. Happy that you are now into bowling. Hope you're having an enjoyable experience. I can tell you there's a lot of smart people in the bowling world. A lot of great content also in the bowling world, and a lot of it is found actually on YouTube. So hopefully you are having fun. And I look forward to maybe seeing you at some point in the future.
Well, and a lot of that comes from what you're doing too, broadcasting this so everybody can see it. And not many people would know about this if it wasn't for what you're doing as well, going out to these events and broadcasting it and getting it out there so everybody can watch it. It's great.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate Jason Uchwal, and I appreciate Craig Elliott, who was the previous owner of One Bowl Stream TV, and he had the relationship. I've been dreaming this event, and you know, for me, luckily able to continue the relationship. And Jason's been great. It's been fun getting to know tournament staffs as I, you know, work with various events across the country, but you start to see the same people every year, and so you create rapport and relationships there. And also see Jason, sometimes he's also a collegiate coach. He coaches the women's team at Midway University. His daughter is on that team. So I see him now, instead of just here, I see him a few times a year elsewhere.
Nice.
Tabitha, I see you. And yes, we will move over to, we'll get you over to 41 and 42. Arnar, he's popular, and he should be, because he is fantastic. I got a really nice, although he just left an A10, unfortunately. But it was nice to watch him compete yesterday and last night.
He's got a really nice game. I was watching him bowl too.
That group is several frames behind, actually. So I think we can get through frame 10 here on 35 and 36 for a little bit. I know we got some Cody Hankins fans. Let me do this real quick. Let's for the time being.
Jason Miller with another 200 game.
Is he? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do this. Shot there from Brandon. So Jason Miller, who shot 252 to open up. Miller's going 252, 175, and now he's going to be in the 2-0s again. Jordan Bryant trying to get some carry. It's going to be a nice 220 game on that pair as well. All right, quick move. There's Jason Miller on the left. On the bottom of your screen is 35 through 38. Matt Kuba trying to figure something out.
I think what you're starting to see a lot of now is too much surface that the guys that started with on this block being used. Because it's really, you can really see some of the balls. Not only, it's not because they're not hooking because of the amount of volume, they're actually hooking too early and they're burning up. I'm starting to see a lot more of that than I am actually of a ball that went too long and didn't hook.
There isn't. I guess there is a thing that can be there. There can be too much surface.
Absolutely.
This is just so rare of a length and volume combination. Right? It's a complete one-off on something that you would not normally see, obviously, on a regular basis. On tour, guys don't see that on a regular basis. So you also know that coming in if you have any kind of indication or history about the tournament. So always, maybe one day I'll just, or if I'm still doing this event, like figure out a way to kind of just highlight or pinpoint, follow a little bit of just a first timer. And we've had several, I think. But maybe the first timer from a tour perspective too, because I feel like the knowledge base at that level could still help you, obviously, on this. Where if you've never seen it at all, be like,
Oh yeah.
this could be a complete eye-opening experience for many players.
I mean, the last time I bowled this was 14 years ago, and I think even at that time I still didn't have enough surface on balls, and I had balls at 500 grit, and they weren't 50 feet. The pattern was like, I think I said earlier, I think it was 43.
Right.
But I mean, like I said, when I came in to today, I was not going to be underprepared, and I actually hit a bowling ball, like I said, with a drywall block, sanding block, just to get it to hook. Now, I didn't throw that ball, but I had it just in case.
And real quick here, I want to get back to Tim Cagle. He's looking for 4 in a row, and he got that one on the left immediately. So he's going to be in the 190s. At Cuba, taking right now what the lanes are giving him. And right now it's just a lot of spare students got one double. He can get to 190. There's Ardnar, or we could call him Arnie, as he told me last night.
Did they win the doubles last night?
They did end up winning.
They did?
Yes, they had some very good matches. All were good, very close. Several of them went to 3 games. First match definitely did. I'm not sure if the second one did. I can't remember. And then the finals match went to 3 as well. So he and Chad Roberts did take home the doubles title.
I'm trying to drag out my buddy from college to bowl that, but I don't think he'll.
It was a no.
Well, he said that he would as long as they got a big event going on right now. He was just telling me where he's doing lessons every weekend.
Does he live here?
No, it's Austin. Austin
Oh,
bowls.
Austin bowled. Yeah, he can play.
Yes, he can.
Yeah, he should bowl.
He finished second the one year
he definitely
too.
should be bowling.
Yeah. So I try and drag him to a lot of these places, and I don't know if he just doesn't like me anymore, if he doesn't just want to bowl with me, or probably both. So Austin, if you're listening, I'm calling you out.
Zaya, I don't see a Tim Miller on the roster. Or I should say the standing sheets that I've been handed. The print is a little small, and my eyes aren't as good as they used to, so keep that in mind. But I don't see Tim Miller. But Jason Miller has been bowling very well.
Yes,
Mary,
has.
by the way, if you don't mind me asking, Mary, who is your husband? I don't want to assume, but I'm basing it on last names. Julian Brown checking in. Appreciate you, Julian.
Julian, what's up?
Watching from, I assume, the ATL. The only person we didn't see in the halftime Super Bowl was Julian. He lives in Atlanta. Why Usher didn't give him a call?
That's true. He should have.
Could have been left-hand rookie out there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mary. Just making sure.
Everyone will be throwing it down the middle. Julian will be running along the sideline.
Jim Ward, that's a great question. And I'm going to pose it or ask it to Jack because he bowled the tournament. And we've been talking about this, and it's a theme of the tournament. Just, what someone may do or how they would play it versus what we've been watching. Never know what answers you might come up with. And so Jim asked, in a tournament like this, would it be better to use a ball? I'm assuming weak, meaning weak as in performance, or type of ball that has a lot of oil in it that way, where it's more controllable. Make your spares to steal a double somewhere. I think the grand scheme of that question is yes. You would like to have something. The ball choice, I think, is different for every player. Because Ferris was in here and he was talking about switching late in the block, using some ASIMs, but because he needs the ball to hit when it gets to the pocket, so it actually does need some energy, which is what you lose obviously when you put a lot of surface on your equipment in the front part of the lane. So, but the making your spares part is a 100% yes. Stealing a double is a 100% yes.
Yes.
From the equipment standpoint, though, where would you kind of advise, if you will?
What was his question again?
It was basically
my memory's going.
Would it be better to use a ball? And he mentioned the word weak, but I couldn't figure out if he was discussing or meaning weak as in like a weaker performing type of bowling ball. He did say something that has a lot of oil in it, so it could be he's referring to heavy oil, one or the other. So I'm not sure on that part. Jim, if you can clarify that, I'd love to help you so we can get your question answered, or at least discuss it.
Well, I'll answer it from what I understand what bowlers say by weak. I call lower friction. So the ball may just be a lower friction cover than like for example, a Hustle Inc. versus a Gem. It's just a lower friction, much lower friction cover. I would agree with you that you could use that on something like now, where the front part of the lane is so destroyed from the earlier block today that if you take a really high-end ball or a really high friction ball and you hit it with a lot of surface, and I'm talking like 180 like a lot of the guys did this morning in 360, yeah, you can burn that ball up much quicker. And the ball really won't have any hitting power, and the next thing you know, it's hooking at your feet and you can't get it to do anything, kind of like what we saw, or it's hooking too much, kind of like what we saw some people do in practice today. I was actually prepared for that this morning, and I did kind of what he's talking about, where I had a high road Pearl at a light 500 in case I couldn't move in and I needed to stay on top of it more. I could go to a ball that's got a cleaner cover, a much lower friction cover, I should say, but it still has some teeth in it so that it can help read the lane, especially once it gets past the front part of the lane. And then I had an RSTX2 that I hit. I think I hit that with 1,500. And I had an RST that I hit with, I think I hit it with 1,000 last night, but I didn't, really lean into it with 1,000. I lightly hit it with 1,000. So that sort of thing can work on this. And I think I would say it's something to consider, and I also think it's something that can work. And like I said earlier, for those who weren't with us at the start, my one buddy, Austin Bolds, who I've mentioned, the year he finished second, I would say for a good amount of the tournament, he was throwing balls that were shiny. And he made it look really good.
Okay, Jim, I got you now. I think a little bit of autocorrect might have tried to sabotage your message there. So Jim said something like a weaker symmetric ball. Obsession Tour, Radical Bonus, he mentioned those specific balls. But I think what he's saying, something that to give you, to me, like an even rolling type of situation where I'm thinking about Obsession Tours, so that's kind of what you get in that situation. Yeah, still.
I think that ball would be good to start. If you're bowling B squad like right now, I think it'd be a good ball to start with. But I think once you start crossing some pairs that are really beat up, I don't think those solids might be the best choice. You could go to a Pearl ball. I'm not saying it's going to be the best choice, depending on your game. Depends on your speed, rev rate, tilt, all axis rotation. all that stuff too, and who was on there before. But I would say for a majority of the people, yes, those balls would probably work. But there will be some cases where you're going to get a pair that is just destroyed in the laydown, and throwing a ball similar to that price point, but it's a pearl with still a decent amount of surface, might even be better.
Well, let's see. I think Aiden has been waiting for and hoping to see Roto Ryan Sidney. And he is indeed lofting it here as we've reached game 5. There's Hunter Kempton. Hunter walking by us. He is here with Andrew Hall. Looks like he's going to be on 39 and 40. Zeke Bates moved down to 41 and 42. Benji Martinez, by the way, did we go over the standings after game 3?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, so I got some standings after game 3. It looks like Benji Martinez is now your leader at plus 31.
Wow.
Thank you, Mary. And I appreciate Donovan, too. I got a chance to chat it up with him a little bit. He was actually on 31 and 32 for a good portion as well. I know he'll be off camera for this final game, but I imagine we should see him. Well, he's got some work to do. Now that I say that after these 3 games, he had a tough game too. He's got a little bit of work to do to ensure he's in the top 52 advance. But I don't think he bowled or had a bad game there at the end. So if he can finish strong, I think he's going to get in the top 50. So we'll wait and see. Donnie Johnson plus 18. Trevor Roberts third plus 14. These are after 3 games. Zeke Bate fourth at plus 2. Matt Kuba fifth at plus 1. 5 players are plus on this A squad. And now 50th has dropped down to minus 91.
And I think in comparison from this morning, I think it was minus 114 after 3. Which is a lot under.
Yeah.
That's 486. That's pretty low. Not even the boot hills are that low.
I've never seen a boot hill in person.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, they're fun. I love bowling those.
I've heard a lot of stories.
Usually, I mean, you're only bowling 3 games too, but usually those 3-game cuts, not excluding his big one, because he gets a lot. The talent for that one's much higher than the ones he usually gets for the local ones. But usually takes about 5. If you shoot, I'll say this: if you shoot 560 for 3 games, you'll make the cut every time. I've never seen it higher than that for the 3-game cut. But 560 is still, I've seen plenty of people shoot under 500.
Jack Sullivan in the building with me. Appreciate you tuning in. My name is Emil Williams Jr. As now looks like I really for the first time had a little bit of space on the pace, if you will. So what you're watching now on 31 and 32, but they may be done very quick. We got a lot of strikes being thrown on 31 and 32.
They must be blowing the house shot. To see that many strikes today, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's an anomaly. But just next door on 29 and 30, that trio has started off well. I see Dan Hickens is there.
I see JR. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I see JR a couple pairs to our right, he's still playing the gutter. And it looks like he's throwing actually a, kind of hard to tell from here, but it looks like a harsh reality. And he had one really hook early and he 210'd, and he looked like it was, he thought it was a good shot off his hand, it looked like. At least from my angle, it's kind of not dead behind him. But even that ball, that harsh reality, doesn't look like it has that much surface on it.
I guess we were looking at the wrong score for Jason Miller when he was on 39 and 40. I thought he clearly was about to shoot 2-0.
He did.
All right, well, then maybe the score is wrong here.
Oh, that's wrong. It's got to be wrong.
I'll double check that, but Cliff, if you can hear me, thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe if you have not already. Hit that thumbs up, turn on those notifications. But we thought that Jason Miller shot 2-0. He started with 252. Thought he shot 2-0. His game 3 might be right. Perhaps.
Game 3 was over here. That's when he had 2-0. Because I remember he washed out. He struck and then he washed out.
You're right.
And even if he got 9,
He already had 180. Correct. So yeah, I'm gonna go make the fellas aware of that, just in case. But yes, Jason, by all accounts, should be in the number. And then Park Point, following this. By the way, Park Point, spare shooting is always A1. If you got good spare shooting, you're going to be in the mix at any tournament, league, whatever it is. But yes, you have seen a lot of missed spares.
Yes.
On this, yes, you have. 100%.
Especially when there's more than one standing.
There will be a Desperado squad. 2-game sprint. Generally, a Desperado is like immediately following a squad. I don't know if it'll be immediate, but I think it'll be decently quick.
I love watching those.
That's a good question. Let me find out the time on that, too, because I feel like we're just flying by. I mean, we are cruising. It's game 5.
Wow.
This block's about to be over.
Jeez.
So
seems like it just started.
Yeah, let me find out what time that is, and I'm gonna go check on the score here. Jack Sullivan, you got a very important job, unless you need to maneuver out and get yourself ready to bowl.
Sounds good to me. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you, my guy. I'm gonna take a small break, just double check and confirm quick score, and I'll be right back, and we'll get you through game 5. You're watching B Squad qualifying here at the Bradley Open on Bullstream TV. It looks like so Jason shot 204 in game 4. So we got that figured out, which is why it did not appear on our scores after 3, which now I can officially post on the Bullstream TV Facebook page. Again, all of the official numbers will eventually get to the Bullstream, oh, I'm sorry, the Bradley Open Facebook page. But I am just trying to help the viewers. You guys have been asking about it. Would you prefer that I keep posting or making new posts, or would you prefer that I add them to what's already like game 2 and just keep posting in the comments of the same thread, theoretically? Still decent scores on 31 and 32. Kiwis World, we appreciate, or I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys for being here. Ooh, look at that loft. We were talking about TikTok earlier, and bowling content, and how that side of the game has completely changed. You'll see Brandon Flora here in a little bit, and Roto Ryan, which might be his internet moniker now, Ryan Sidney. I got a chance to catch up with. He's doing a lot of good stuff here on the internet, social media, ball reviews, etc. It's a solid game he's put together. Question is, will that be potentially enough to get him in? Let's see where Ryan is after 3 games. He was 41st after 3, which was 14 pins in front of the number at that time. So without knowing what he shot in game 4, I'm going to say that if we can keep it clean and get to 220, that would be quite important. Good start in that 10th. So for Ryan, and we watched a lot of lefties lofted today. Ryan's done it. Brandon Bone did it for a little bit on 37, 38, trying to figure it out. I think Cam Crow has been probably the most consistent. Without seeing Ryan for a full 5-game block, we saw Cam do it for at least 2 games. I think they're just trying to find something consistent, because the front part of the lane is hooking a ton. That's a tough break on a really good shot. Trying to get you some approximate times as well, so you can plan accordingly about what time we might have a Desperado, as well as the advancers round. Again, considering the time that it is currently, we've reached this point pretty quickly. It's 224 for Ryan. We'll see what that where that leaves him. Hunter Kempton. I'm on a 39 and 40. It's on the bottom right of your screen. 39 through 42. J.R. Raymond, Pontus Anderson. Let's go down there for a quick minute and watch a little bit of their finish. Shout out to Samuel Wooten. And Brandon out there with the matching skeleton looks. I like it. Remember last year watching J.R. Raymond, and boy, he was just making it work from the gutter. I think he started a block just super, super well. Boo, how you doing, Vu? Michael, the oil pattern, there's no information. Sometimes.
B squad bowlers.
Oh, there we go.
As you guys finish up, please make sure when you're done bring your score sheets to the front counter. We will be announcing the cut as soon as we get all the scores in. After we announce the cut, the Desperado will start immediately after. Anybody that does not make the cut, Desperado will start immediately after. It is $100.
All right, there you go. Desperado starts immediately after. I thought it would, but wasn't sure on the time. Considering, I should say, the time that how quickly we've been bowling 5 games. So Desperado immediately following our B squad. That's going to be a 2-game sprint. We'll have that covered for you here as well. And then there will be a very small break, and then we'll get into the advancers round here tonight. The advancers round will be able to settle in. We'll get in 6 games. All right, back to the oil pattern, Michael. Not too much. Not too much different from previous Bradleys, I should say, with high volume, high length numbers. Definitely 50+ feet. 45 to 50 mils. This is a guess, but someone who could talk to us about it a little bit better, because he just came off the lanes, right off the lanes. Is it Roto Ryan?
It's me. I'm breathing hard. It was a lot of work. Jesus.
How you feeling?
I feel tired. You see what I was doing out there?
I do actually. Were you doing that all 5 games?
I got away from it the 2 games.
Okay.
You can guess which one were the low 2 games.
So we were discussing. Someone had just mentioned your loft.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Michael actually. Michael, this is Roto Ryan, the gentleman we just watched lofting it.
It's me.
Is in the booth. He was lofting it, but then his spare ball was so smooth. What was why were you lofting? Why did you feel you had to do that?
That's just what I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
Everywhere I bowl at, the front panels are getting worn out the more you bowl. So it's been kind of the thing I've been doing the past 3 or 4 years now. So now it's just I feel more comfortable doing it.
Is it generally to that length on the lane?
It can go farther.
Well, I mean, I guess on a regular, like in a non-Bradley situation.
Probably at least to the arrows, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, there's times, like I said, there's times we're chucking it down there. But man, it was brutal.
Is this your first time bowling this tournament?
Yeah, that's why I was so excited to bowl it. It's the first time I ever got to.
So what are your thoughts after bowling now 5 games on this?
I mean, for me personally, my shot's never going to shape and change because I feel like I can't throw it slow enough to. So, like I said, just being committed to doing it is really just the big part, and making sure my timing's in key is what all it is.
What'd you finish at?
Shot 220 to get to minus 77. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that might do it.
I'm hoping so.
We don't know yet. Got certainly game 5 to finish up for a lot of players, but we are finishing up down on the high end. Jeremy, I do have game 3 scores posted on the Bullstream TV Facebook page. If you want to check that out. Again, 50th after 3 games was minus 91. Again, 50th after 3 games, minus 91. So to give you an idea, leading after those 3 games was Benji Martinez at plus 31.
He throws it good.
Yes, he does.
God bless. I don't know how they do it. If I could be that good.
Well, you could. That's why you're Roto Ryan.
Thank you. When I clip that and put that on my channel, I'm going to replay that every day for positive affirmations.
That's important.
Absolutely.
Derek Roseberry says hello.
Oh, I love Derek. Is he down there in Florida?
I think so. He's in the chat.
I figured he'd be here.
So your first experience in the Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
I was discussing social content creators within our sport.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've kind of thrown yourself in that mix.
Yeah.
As well. So what all are you doing? What platform should people be following you on? And what are you doing when you're out there doing your content?
Right now, I do a lot of TikToks. I feel like it's easier to make those little short snippet videos.
Okay.
I am pretty active on Instagram and Facebook too. So I think down the road, I want to get a YouTube channel to do more ball reviews and just bowling travels. I feel like my outlook on things is a little different than everybody else's, so it's a different point of view.
Being or finding a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
With so many content creators, and everyone's doing something that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to be repetitive to a degree. You want to figure out a way to make yourself stand out. We had Jack in the booth a little bit. We've been talking about this Vincennes reunion of alums.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I didn't make it to alum. I like to break 3 of my fingers and not go back. That was my thing.
It's okay. You went.
True. It was a good experience. Like I said, Gary Sparks was. I still use stuff he taught me today. I mean, that was back in 05.
Hunter Kempton really wanted that shot. And now at best, it's very Bradley-esque. At best, he can do is 181.
They're all over the place, the scores, man.
Albert Liggins is going to be in the 220s. See where Mr. Liggins was. Someone asked about the Desperado The Desperado basically is a legit 2-game sprint. So whoever wants to participate, they've had to have bowled in either A or B squad. They can essentially re-enter and bowl or take their chance really in a 2-game sprint. I don't know the number of spots that will be handed out. Let me double check that or see if that's available real quick. But there'll be a certain number of spots available through that event, and then the top whatever will advance to or move on to the advancers round tonight, where scores will drop. There'll be 6 games instead of 5 tonight.
Oh Lord!
And then the top 40 players will advance to the cashers round tomorrow morning.
I don't think they know how hard it is to aim at the 1-2 over the gutter cap.
Yeah,
Right.
you and Cam and Brandon Brown out there doing left to right.
See, that's the heroes too. I need to meet those people in real life. I saw Parker was here walking around too.
Yeah, watching Brandon.
Yeah, he did I think he did a clinic over in Hiller, Illinois before he came here.
The top 8 bowlers will advance in the Desperado. Top 8 bowlers. So 8 spots available in the re-entry tonight. Johnny, we just saw JR finish up on 41 and 42. We saw Cody Shoemaker. He was on in the viewing area, maybe games 2 and 3, something around that time. But they both are here, and they both bowled here in B squad. Gary McIntyre says hello to you specifically.
Gary,
from
what's up, bro?
Owensboro.
He's a good dude too. There's lots of good people in the bowling community. That's what. It's nice. So sometimes you need that community of friends. You see, how are people getting to hook on 1, 2, 3?
You know, there does seem to be. We saw Chad Roberts do it. There does seem to be a little bit of bounce, but you got to be perfect.
Well, that is not me.
Tell them about your almost 5'7", 10.
Let's not. I told you I laid the ball down 3 times, and one of the times almost 5, 7, 10.
I missed that early.
Yeah,
That would have drew an O for me.
it's going to be on TikTok later. I promise you.
Well, I'm looking forward to this then. Or maybe not, but
Yeah,
not for your viewing pleasure, but it's for your fans.
absolutely.
So I'm gonna
Trying to make a little
sure I
following.
watch it. All right, back over to 35 and 36. We finish up here. Brandon Flora, Michael Mossberg, and Parker Monholland. We still got Sam Wooten next door. McKinley over there as well on 33 and 34 finishing up. They'll be on the left side of your screen and bottom right of your screen as well. Sure, Suitor Bowling, let's do it. What's your? They asked for your TikTok handle, my guy.
At R
This
Sydney.
is your chance to
Yeah.
get more fans.
At R Sydney 300, RSIDNEY 300. You'll see some Motiv Matt content on there. That's my bestie, but he's back at home working today.
So we got Roto Ryan and Motiv Matt.
Motiv Matt.
Okay.
We had bracelets for sale. I could tell you lots of stories one day. We'll sit down and tell some stories about Motiv Matt and me. That's half the content back on the channel.
There was a question on Michael. Yes, this is an annual event. Plenty of history, very historical event. And it's also been in February for, I think, several years now. The locations have changed in a few years, but or I'm saying they won't change in a few years, but it has changed within the last 5 to 10 years. But it's something that should be on your calendar. If you want a challenge, you know, certainly not for everybody, but if you want a challenge and you happen to be able to find yourself in the cashier's round, it's a guaranteed $600. And for a chance to win essentially $12,500
When's the cashier's round? Is that
tomorrow morning.
I got some bowling to do. Hold on.
So you got if you're in today, which I think you are, then your 6 games tonight will determine if you advance to tomorrow morning.
Well, let's just make a good 6 games then, I guess.
There it is.
I said it's worth the experience. There's so many win-a-spot tournaments out there and anything else you can bowl to find a spot.
So at our Sydney 300, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or add me on Facebook, honestly. It's my name, Ryan Sydney. I like making friends, and I talk a lot, so.
Boy, Brandon is just, when he doesn't strike, he's been in 10-pin city. Spare strike to get him to 173. I don't think I got a score sheet after 4. So we may not get that, folks. We just may skip to what the cut number is going to be.
So do pins carry over for tonight then?
No, sir.
Oh. That made me happy. All right. Let me relax in this chair a little bit more.
No, sir. You get to start at 0 like everybody else, and you get one more game to try to get to the cashier's round of nice.
Oh, we don't get
tonight.
there. We got no other choice. How else am I going to pay for the hotel tonight?
Yes, expenses are important. Yeah, you planned this out well. Did you already check out of your place?
I didn't even get a hotel yet. I'd never bowled it before. I said, I don't know. I'm just going to go enjoy myself. Pack the overnight bags if I need to. Make sure I get a hotel at the swimming pool for the kids so everybody's happy.
Well, I will say that we're going to finish probably, generally speaking, we finished around midnight-ish. So unless you really want to drive, the early hours of the morning.
It's a light 2 hour.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, okay. Might be a little different. Might be different. Uh-oh. Lost the camera. That's not good. But someone, yep. Boy, we just keep bouncing hidden power cables here.
That frustration kicks in. Guys, you'll never guess. Emil just left me in the booth by myself. This is a big trust thing here. This is Ryan Sydney. Follow me on Facebook or TikTok at rsydney300. Shout outs to Motiv Matt, WWMD. Follow the movement. I can't believe he left me in the booth by myself. Don't tell him anything I'm saying right now. Oh, he's coming back. I'm going to be a little bit more quiet. But yeah, we're just finishing up here. Don't tell Emil I was plugging the channel over and over right there.
Uh-oh. I'll let you do it.
I appreciate you.
Linda, that's a great question. Let's make sure that camera works, by the way. It looks like it does. Good. Linda, I do think, honestly, there are, and I've heard stories actually to confirm it, but there are players who intentionally will use equipment that either they're okay with parting with before they, either hitting it with 180 or Scotch Brite or roof shingles or whatever else.
Outside gravel.
Yeah. Before they're okay with moving on from said bowling ball before they do it. So, I think there are several bowling balls that don't make the trip back, or if they do, they're, they now belong to the Bradley.
They're up, yeah. I got 2 realities. I actually got plugged and drilled just for this. Hey, shout out my mom. She is watching and ecstatic apparently in my text messages that she can hear me on here. See, Mama, I told you I'd make it. I told you.
He made it.
This will for sure be on TikTok.
Let's see. I'm going to try to stay live, folks, until hopefully we'll stay. We'll stay. We'll stay on until we get the number. Or I could go off, go eat, come back with a Desperado, and then we'll talk about who made the top 50.
I gotta get some more crab ragoons.
Option B actually sounds much better. Say it out loud.
Check-in will be at 5:30 p.m. tonight. 5:30.
So it sounds like check-in is 5:30.
6:30 p.m. tonight.
And then starting approximately 6:30 tonight for the advancers round. So check-in tonight for the advancers will be 5:30. And then we might start at approximately 6:30 from what we were just told.
So I do have time to go eat.
Yes, well, as long as you hear the number that you need to hear,
I
you
feel
will
like
have
I'm
time.
in. I feel like I'm there.
I think you're in. I think you are 100%.
Should we go get a hotel now then? Because if I make it tonight, I have to make it tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you should.
All right, I'm gonna go get a hotel. I'm gonna come back though later.
Okay, you better. That's Ryan Sidney. And
This is the best day of my life.
folks, I think I am. It's gonna be tough. I think that wait could be a little longer than I imagined. So I think we may shut it down here, and then move over to the Desperado event link, and then I'll meet you there. Let me drop that link so you won't have to go searching for it. All right, there's the Desperado squad link. Again, that's going to be a short 2-game sprint, and it's going to happen immediately following B squad. So as soon as the number is announced, that's where they're moving to. And that tournament, or 2-game sprint, I should say, will begin in just really, I would probably say within the next 20 minutes. People are they're already taking sign-ups for the Desperado as well. All right, so what I'm going to do is move over to the Desperado link, take this opportunity for the quick break, maybe try to grab a quick food item and get you ready for the Desperado. We'll reconvene and talk about standings here in just a little bit. Appreciate all for tuning in. B Squad. Thanks for the wonderful guests here. We had Jack Sullivan, Daniel Farish, and Ryan Sidney. Appreciate them. I'm sure we'll probably have Jason Utwall hop in for a little bit during the Desperado, and then we'll get into the advancers round a little bit later tonight. So we'll see you in just a few minutes. Desperado squad, that's next. I want to thank all of the sponsors here. QubicaAMF, Motiv, Maeser Plumbing, H5G High Five Gear, and of course Creating the Difference. Desperado squad, that's next. It's been a presentation of the B squad here at the Bradley Open. Watch it live and only on Bowl Stream TV.